The evening was calm, the kind that settles gently after a long day. The sun slipped behind the rooftops, leaving the sky washed in deep blue, neither bright nor dark, but resting somewhere in between. Somewhere nearby, a generator hummed faintly, its steady sound blending with distant voices and the soft scrape of metal against concrete. The air carried the familiar smell of cooked food, wood smoke, and dust, the scent of life winding down. A child sat close to the elder, tracing shapes on the ground with a stick. His eyes drifted toward an old image propped against the wall, faded with time. It showed Ijapa the tortoise, his shell cracked and uneven, lines running across it like dried riverbeds. The child studied it for a while, then looked up. Why is Ijapa's shell broken? The elder took a slow breath. He leaned back slightly, as though reaching into a place far older than memory. His eyes lifted toward the sky, which now glowed softly above them, and he began. Long ago, when animals spoke with clear voices and wisdom moved freely between earth and sky, the sky was not as distant as it is today. It did not feel unreachable or silent. It hung close enough for messages to travel easily, close enough for the earth to feel watched, guided, and corrected by what lived above it. In those days, the sky listened as much as it commanded. In those days, the sky called meetings when balance needed restoring. One season, an announcement spread across the land. It was carried by the wind, echoed by drums, whispered through leaves, and repeated by every creature that heard it. There would be a great meeting in the sky. All animals were invited. No one would be left out. And at the meeting, there would be a feast prepared by the sky itself. The news stirred excitement everywhere. Animals spoke of nothing else. They imagined flavors they had never tasted, food that required no hunting, no farming, no waiting. Some prepared gifts to show gratitude. Others practiced greetings, standing taller, speaking more carefully, hoping their words would impress the sky elders. Even the quiet animals felt their hearts lift. Among them all, no one listened more closely than Ijapa the tortoise. Ijapa was known across the land for his sharp mind. He was not the fastest, nor the strongest, but his thoughts moved quickly, slipping through spaces others overlooked. With words alone, he had escaped trouble many times. With cleverness, he had turned loss into gain. Many admired him. Some feared him. Few truly trusted him, but Ijapa carried a weakness that clung tightly to his intelligence. He loved praise, and he loved food even more. When he learned the meeting would take place in the sky, Ijapa understood the problem at once. His legs could not take him there. The journey belonged to those with wings. For a moment, even his sharp mind paused. Then it began to work. He went to the birds. He greeted them with care, bowing low, speaking softly. He praised the shine of their feathers, the strength of their wings, the beauty of their flight. He spoke of unity, of togetherness, of how wonderful it would be if all creatures attended the meeting as one, without leaving anyone behind. The birds listened. At first, they hesitated, but Ijapa's words were smooth and his humility seemed genuine. Slowly, one by one, they agreed to help him. Each bird lent Ijapa one feather. Alone, a feather meant little. Together, they formed wings strong enough to lift him upward. Ijapa tied them carefully to his shell, testing them again and again. He smiled, not with gratitude, but with satisfaction. Before the journey began, he did something else. When the sky messengers came to record the names of those attending, Ijapa stepped forward. "What is your name?" they asked. He answered calmly, "My name is all of you." No one questioned it. The journey to the sky was long, but excitement carried everyone forward. When they arrived, they found a world wider and brighter than anything they had imagined. The sky stretched endlessly, glowing with quiet authority. The elders of the sky sat in stillness, their presence heavy with order and restraint. Tables stood ready, filled with food that shimmered and steamed, food that seemed endless. When the meeting opened, silence fell. Then the sky announcer spoke. "This feast is for all of you." At once Ijapa stood. "I am all of you," he said. The announcer nodded. The first plate was brought forward. Ijapa took it. The second followed. Again he stepped forward. Each time the words were spoken, he claimed the food. Each time no one stopped him. Confusion spread through the gathering. Some animals whispered, some stared, unsure whether they were witnessing wisdom or trickery. Still, Ijapa ate. Cleverness, when spoken boldly, often wears the mask of truth. Plate after plate disappeared into Ijapa's reach. His shell pressed heavy against his stomach, but he did not slow down. His pride rose higher than the sky itself. He believed he had outsmarted everyone, not just the animals, but the meeting, the system, the very meaning of words. But greed is loud even when it pretends to be quiet. The birds watched. They remembered their feathers. They remembered the trust they had given freely, and they remembered how Ijapa had smiled while taking what was never meant for him alone. When the meeting ended, the sky elders dismissed the gathering. It was time to return to earth. The birds gathered together without words. One by one, they stepped toward Ijapa and reclaimed their feathers. The wings fell apart slowly, gently, until nothing remained. Ijapa spoke. He argued. He laughed. He promised gifts, gratitude, and change. He reminded them of how clever he was, how useful he could still be. But the birds did not answer. Left alone in the sky, Ijapa looked down. The earth below felt far away. For the first time, his sharp mind searched for an escape and found none. There was no name to hide behind now, no word to twist, no trick left untouched. He jumped. The fall stretched on long enough for fear to replace pride, long enough for silence to press against his thoughts, long enough for understanding to arrive without words. When Ijapa struck the earth, the sound echoed. His shell shattered into pieces, breaking along lines no one had seen before. Animals gathered around him. Some felt pity, some felt anger. None could undo what had happened. Time passed. The pieces of Ijapa's shell were collected and pressed back together. Slowly, carefully, his body healed, but the cracks remained. They did not disappear. They settled into him, uneven and permanent. From that day onward, Ijapa carried his lesson on his back. And from that day, the sky pulled itself farther away from the earth. That is why the sky feels distant. That is why Ijapa's shell is broken. Not because he lacked intelligence, but because intelligence without wisdom always falls.